Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting. Envisioned Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success. An affiliate of Direct Impact Broadcasting and Creative Broadcasting, presenting the EmPower Hour with Jaresha, a show that shares the stories behind the journeys of leaders, influencers, and motivators. The EmPower Hour with Jaresha begins now.
Welcome to EmPower Hour with Jaresha. I am your host, Jaresha Moore. A little bit about myself. I am a best-selling author with over 18 years of combined experience in education, finance, healthcare, business development, and sales. Owner and founder of EmPower on Purpose, LLC, where we provide personal professional development training and leadership training. Certified coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maxwell team, and owner of Envisioned Broadcasting radio station, or EB Radio. So I'm so excited to tell you guys that you can now download the EB Radio app. This is for all of the Android users. Please download the app today in your Google Play Store. So you guys, it is Wednesday, and it's another great day and opportunity for you to be great. We absolutely love Wednesdays and love empowerment quotes on this show. So today's empowerment quote is right on time, y'all. It simply says, stop chasing money and start chasing the passion, by Tony Hsieh. I think that we've all realized one thing this year, and that is how this crisis has put everything in perspective for us. Many people have lost jobs and money, and some have found life, dreams, and purpose. I have seen more people starting to focus on their dreams and passions than ever before. So yes, this is yet another empowerment quote, but how many of us were chasing money or have been chasing money and are feeling stuck and unfulfilled because of our beliefs about money? Today, I want to share with you from Addicted to Success, 6 reasons to stop chasing money and start chasing your passion and dreams. Number 1, reaching your dream can give you money automatically. Some of us don't want to believe this, but when you're striving to reach that dream and working on and in your purpose, money will come. I believe that when we are blessed and when we are working on it in our purpose, we receive those blessings. Number 2, money can go as quickly as it comes. Now, we all know this all too well. We get money as soon as we get money, it's gone right away, just that fast. Again, this goes back to our beliefs about money. If you lack the belief, the mindset to add value, then even if you win the lottery or if you come into a large sum of money, you will almost certainly lose everything. I know we have seen that person that maybe, come into some kind of money or win that lottery, and then all of a sudden we're trying to figure out how in the world they are at a point where they don't have any more money. It can happen so quickly, which is why you should always focus on your dream and purpose, and everything else will fall into place. Number 3, achieving a goal feels so much better. We all think that money can fix everything in our life, and it makes us feel so good. But the sad thing is that having lots and lots of money actually doesn't feel that good. Because as the rich will tell you, there is no such thing as having enough money. This is why dreams are more important. However, working towards a dream feels amazing, and as you hit each milestone, it makes you fulfilled beyond your wildest dreams. Number 4, money doesn't necessarily give you unforgettable experiences. Having lots of money can make you feel great. Yes, we know this, but it's short term. But it will never, ever give you unforgettable experiences. There's a quote by Tim Denny that says, when you have an experience as a part of a dream you are chasing, it becomes a critical building block to the story and meaning of your life. Suddenly, every experience has its place, and you learn to love the negative experiences at the same time. Money can't do this, and it will buy you experiences that on the surface seem perfect until you realize at the end that it wasn't that great after all. Number 5, when one area thrives, other areas can die. In life, we have to make trade-offs and sacrifices. What are you prepared to give up for your own dreams and passion? So when you go after your dream, just remember there are going to be sacrifices, and you have to be prepared to make those sacrifices. Focus on your dreams. Stimulate the areas of your life that matter, and the money thing can tie all of this together when you actually achieve that goal, assuming that your goal will actually make you money. And the final reason, number 6, your money status is meaningless. Do you really think people truly care about the money that you've made? Don't forget, like I said, that your money status is meaningless. The more you fulfill your purpose, the more you achieve the impossible, and the more you become so obsessed with creating value. In the end, I believe that you are created for greatness. And start chasing that greatness. So work passion and purpose so that you can be who God created you to be. So I am so excited this evening. I'm super excited. Welcome my special guest, Tavara Johnson. A little bit about Tavara Johnson. Dr. Tavara Johnson is an event host, author, and mentor, and is dedicated and passionate about the pursuit of purpose. Dr. Johnson is the visionary of Jewels and Gems, Distinctive Women of Worth, or DWOW, which were founded to assist women in finding their God-given purpose and experience healing in their inner me. She has hosted numerous empowerment events, yearly via Jewels and Gems and monthly via DWOW, to provide women in attendance the opportunity to break free from bondage and experience freedom at every level. She believes women who are healed and the whole have the opportunity to live an abundant life and reach the destiny God has designed for them. Her training in the area of Christian counseling provides her with the knowledge and skill to help women examine their current state, identify obstacles and challenges, and choose a plan of action to propel them to their next level. She knows that she has been called to serve, inspire, and empower other women on their personal journey to greatness. Dr. Johnson has obtained her doctorate degree in the Ministry of Christian Counseling from Jacksonville Theological Seminary, master's degree in business administration with emphasis in human resources management, School of Science degree in technical management from DeVry University. She is a human resource professional and has been working in this field for the past 11 years. Her journey to impact women and fulfill her life purpose has led her to grace the cover of Kish magazine and to be featured in Kish magazine, Beautylicious Beauty magazine, and Upwards magazine. In addition, she has appeared as a guest on The Dreamer in the UTV show, Blossoms of My Life radio show, God's Gem radio show, Kishma George radio show, and the Good Deeds radio show. She is also the recipient of the Beautylicious Be Your Own Kind of Beauty Award and the Kish Magazine Women of the Year honoree, 2019. She has recently launched a Women to Women mentorship program for single women to help them embrace the new. Women to Women will help singles harness their next level and move them into alignment. Additionally, she is the author of the singles devotional, The Weight of the Weight. And her life's mantra is people make time for whatever is important to them. please help me welcome. I'm so excited to have Dr. Tavara Johnson. How are you this evening?
I am wonderful. How are you? And thank you so much for allowing me to be a guest on your platform. I don't take these opportunities lightly, and so just thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show tonight.
Yes, I just shared your amazing bio, and as I said, I'm super excited to have you on the show this evening. So tell us a little bit more, about yourself, maybe something that I actually didn't mention in your bio.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, or sometimes I like to say in the simplest form, I'm a servant of God, first and foremost. You've mentioned that I'm an author, I'm an event host, I'm a speaker, I'm a mentor. And so those are some of the things that kind of encapsulate who I am as an individual. And of course, you mentioned that I've worked in human resources for the past 11 years. And as you know, working in that field, you're dealing with a lot of different personalities, and so it's never a dull moment, I like to say, when we talk about working in human resources. But in a nutshell, that's just really, who I am. My desire is just really to, be all that God has called me to be. That's front and center in terms of what I desire to do or to be. I feel as though that, we all came here with a life purpose, and it is our duty to fulfill the mandate that God has for us. And so that's just who I am in a nutshell.
Absolutely. So at what point in your life did you decide, to start your ministry? And let me just say that it's truly an amazing ministry.
Thank you so much. So actually it started about 2016, and it actually came about because I wanted to do a like a fashion show, and there were some things I wanted to do for the women because it was around Mother's Day. And I remember being so excited, and then God said to me, nope, that's not what I want you to do. And so it pretty much was birthed. It pretty much was birthed from there in terms of, what I thought He wanted me to do. And then He basically kind of fine-tuned as to what He was really requiring of me to do. And once I realized what He was asking me to do, I then sought out someone who was able to assist me, because here it is. This is something that I've never done before. This is something that I'm terrified of doing. This is something that takes me out of my comfort zone. And so I ran ahead and I started the ministry, and that's pretty much how Jewels and Gems was birthed. And so the first event I did, it talks about, the topic actually, or the theme was heal and whole. And so I realized at that moment, God was saying that He really wanted me to deal with women, and He wanted me to deal with the well-being of women. And of course, as the few years went by, it evolved. And, you tend to gain wisdom as you go on, because first of all, you as an individual would evolve. And so as you are evolving, that's pretty much when your ministry also evolves as well. And so for me, that's how, basically how the Jewels and Gems came about. And then the Distinctive Women was birthed from a place where, I no longer wanted to just have yearly events. So typically the Jewels and Gems is where I have the yearly events, and the Distinctive Women of Worth is where I would do more intimate events, more so monthly events. There are different things that we do, because I realized sometimes the ladies would always try to, or they would always kind of pull on you, and I realized that at that moment they needed more. They needed more interaction as opposed to just seeing me once a year. Because it gives you the more you're able to interact with the ladies, it gives you an opportunity to, to basically to be able to even follow up with some of the things that they're doing, or to be able to hold them accountable, because sometimes some women only want to be accountable. They just want somebody to be accountable to. And so that's basically how it came about, and one of the things I do with the Distinctive Women of Worth is that every month I recognize a woman for some of the things that she does. I spotlight them every month. And I do that to kind of course, I love celebrating women, of course, but I also do it as a way to kind of put other women's ministries out there. At the end of the day, there's only so much people that I can reach. And being able to spotlight another woman who may be in another region or wherever she may be, it allows other persons who may be in need of assistance to be able to even seek them out. And so that's basically why I do, part of why I do what I do.
Absolutely.
As it relates to jewels and gems and Distinctive Women of Worth.
Yes, and I think that's truly amazing. I love how you mentioned that you pretty much started your ministry, and it was something that you had to be, God really had to push you out of that comfort zone. Because I definitely feel like, my goodness, I think that a lot of us can really identify with knowing that we need to be pushed out of our comfort zone. And not maybe understanding what our purpose is, but once we, understand what that purpose is, and then just being able to push or be pushed out of that comfort zone, it's just truly a blessing. And the fact that you're able to help so many women, with the program. I love the fact that you have the spotlighting of the, to celebrate women and their ministries. I think that's so important for us to be able to celebrate each other. So what truly made you decide to work, particularly with single women?
Well, in terms of working with single women, it actually came from some of my experiences. I mean, of course, I'm still single, but it came from some of my experiences, and then being able to speak to other single women as well. Sometimes, you find yourself dating people who you should not necessarily be dating, and you kind of get yourself a little caught up. And so when that happens, and of course when God delivers you, it's like, okay, I need to help other women so they could realize the seriousness of sometimes, or basically dating someone who God has not ordained for you to be with. There's a danger in that to a certain extent, depending on what you may go through. And then at the same time, I also felt as though there wasn't enough ministry, so to speak, that dealt with single women. There's a lot that deal with marriages, but I kind of felt as though the singles were being left out. The only time you would mainly hear about, sometimes I feel like singles ministry or anything to do with singles is mainly around Valentine's. And I'm like, okay, well, we singles need a little bit more help, more than just around Valentine's,
Right.
With me being someone that, at some point I really struggled with my singleness. I struggled being single. I didn't want to be single. But at the same time, once you start to, once God starts to show you who you are, you start to move in purpose, you realize that even if I don't want to be single, well, I can't really settle for less than what I deserve either. Because there's also a danger in doing that. You actually could you would really derail your whole destiny if you're not with the person who God has ordained you to be with. And then I wanted persons who are single to understand that, singleness is only a temporary state. This isn't something that, if God has ordained you or called you to be married, this isn't something that you would be in for the rest of your life. Not if that's what He's called you to. And of course, you'd have to be someone who's in alignment, so to speak. You can't say that you want to be married and then you're with married men and all these other things that God isn't going to, He's not going to send. He can't send, your God ordained spouse. So it's to be able to really kind of get women to a place where they understand, the singleness, like while you're single, here are some things that you do. This is the time that you should work on yourself. You work on breaking those generational curses, allowing God to heal you, and just so much more. And so for me, I would have went through that process, and so it's being able to help someone else, because there's a lot of times when you talk to single women, a lot of people sometimes don't necessarily say how they may be feeling, and then at the same time I realized the enemy would have you to feel as though, hey, you know, I'm single, or, you know, I mean, there are certain feelings that you could have, and then I realize sometimes some people, I feel that, now this isn't everybody, but I feel like sometimes there are times that married people kind of make single folks feel bad because they desire marriage, you know. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that, because there are times when I had a few married people who would say to me, well, you know, marriage is hard, and I'm not disputing. I mean, for me, I'm not disputing that, because I know you're talking about two individuals not becoming as one. But I remember asking them all, I would say, okay, marriage may be hard, but are you willing to leave your husband? I told them, I said, don't answer that. You know, I'm like, if your answer is no, I'm like, you know, if your answer is no, then don't try to discourage single people from desiring marriage. You know, not everyone is going to be, or not every single person is someone who is not content in their singleness. And at the same time, you know, some singles really, I mean, like for me, I'm at a place where I know that marriage is ministry, so I'm not trying to get married just to say that I'm married, or to say that I have eye candy, or to say that I could get married. You know what I mean? And like I'm far beyond that point. You know, especially right now in my life, I understand now what marriage is. So a lot of singles, you know, once they're prepared, they will be going into marriage with the right mindset. You know, so I mean, and it's just so much that you go through as singles. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I don't think a lot of people sometimes talk about it, but there is a lot that you go through being a single person. You know, then of course there's the stigma to a certain extent if you're a certain age. Okay, well, you know, and then, you know, so maybe you don't have kids, you know, the biological clock is ticking and all these other things. So sometimes people try to, you know, constantly remind people of that. So for me, some of the things that I do is try to help the single women to understand, hey, it's okay to have your feelings, you know, to desire kids if you don't have any, or to desire marriage. There's nothing wrong with it. But just don't, you know that not to make these things an idol either. You know what I mean? So it's just a whole lot of things. But I mean, I do enjoy assisting or helping the single women. I really do. Yeah. Because I want to see them at a place where they heal. Go ahead.
Absolutely. No, I was just going to say that, you know, I can just speak from my own experience, you know, when I was single, and how, like you said, it's just, there's so much negativity that goes with the singleness, that women, you know, often kind of, they're in themselves, not just from, you know, projected from other people, but they have their own, you know, negativity that's kind of attached to being single, instead of, like you mentioned, just being, you know, embrace it, because this is a time when you can be focused and working on you, you know, until God, you know, brings that man into your life. So that's so good. That's so good. And I truly, you know, just it's so good, and so much needs to be said and heard to some of the single women out there, you know, that's definitely listening, that is experience, like you said, you know, around Valentine's Day, it's like, you know, all of a sudden everyone feels some kind of way because of the fact that they're, you know, they don't have someone. You know, it's like, oh, I don't have a Valentine. Okay,
it's only one day.
Exactly. So I think that's so amazing that you do have the ministry that is, you know, helping, you know, single women and some of the issues, challenges, and, you know, that they're dealing with and faced with. So you also are an amazing author and have the Singles Devotion, the weight of the weight. Tell us a little bit more about, you know, some of the books that you've written.
Okay, so I have the weight of the weight. Of course, it's a 30-day devotional for single women. And so with that, we talk about a lot of different things, because, of course, as a single person, there is a weight in waiting. And so that's why it's named the weight of the weight. But, you know, in that devotional, one of the things that we do is that, or that I did, there's also, of course, there's scripture, there's a prayer, and then there are some what I call thought-provoking questions. You know, so I know there's a topic on prayer. And then, of course, there's a topic on, like, where is your Naomi? So the questions that I have at the end are there to act as reflections, for you to really, for the person that's reading to really be able to look deep within, not to be shallow. Because, the questions are really, it's going to cause you to really look within and to be brutally honest with yourself. And so, it like I said, it just talks about a lot of different topics. It talks about your body being a temple, just so many different things. And I truly enjoyed, of course, writing it. It's something that, again, so a lot, sometimes when I do some things, it's actually some of the process that I would have went through. And so now it's just to be able to help someone else with it, because the amount of single women that actually reached out to me about the book and especially the questions, it was like, oh my God, Tavara, these questions. I'm like, yeah, it causes you to be real with yourself, to be honest with yourself, and it'll put you in a place where you would have to ask yourself, why is it that I really want to be married? These are the questions that sometimes we don't really want to be honest with ourselves about. And so, that's one of the books that I wrote. I recently released, I think it's probably about maybe almost a month ago now, it's I Declare War, Spiritual Warfare Declarations. And so it pretty much go from one extreme to the next. But what that is about is for persons to be able to declare what it is that they want to see. There are so many people I've seen for 2020, with all of the things that's going on with the coronavirus and everything else is happening. I'm not saying that it's that it's not real what's happening, but at the same time, in the midst of what we may see with our natural eyes, we still have to hear what God is saying so we can declare, what He's saying. And so it's to be able to make people conscious of more so conscious of what it is that they're saying, because at the end of the day, you will get what it is that you speak. You will reap whatever you speak. Whatever you choose to declare, because the Bible tells us that life and death is in the power of the tongue. So you have to be so careful of what it is that you say and be honest. I remember in writing a book, because there were some things that I was declaring. And, I don't know if a lot of people realize that anytime you are given an assignment, you're normally the first partaker of it. And I remember, I was declaring so many things, and I said to God, God, you're going to have me to put this out. I said, if I am declaring these things, I said, you're going to have to manifest these things. You're going to have to manifest what is it I'm saying, because, there's a deeper level of conviction, so to speak, when you could talk about something that you did, and of course there's some manifestation with it. And I can honestly say there are things that I would have declared, and I've seen it manifested. I'm like, okay, I can really tell people, this thing works, and so I was really happy about that. Like I say, He really manifested some things I've been declaring for a very long time now, and I mean down to the T, And so I would also say to persons, when you're declaring things, be specific. Whatever it is that you want, just be specific. If it's a car that you want, you be specific. If it's a, increase in your prayer life, be specific. If it's a mate that you want, be specific. God will give you those things. So that's one of my books that I've written. And then I would have co-authored the Dreamer in You that's coming out that's coming out next month, actually. So I'm a co-author for that book, and in that book, my chapter, I talk about overcoming your dry season. Of course, a dry season is something that we all have to go through at some point. It's something that a lot of people, we don't like. We don't like tough dry seasons. However, is during the dry season is when you have the pruning happens, when your character is developed, because you're being tested, So it's almost like you are like David out there in the wilderness being tested, So now whenever God, when He presents you now, so to speak, or the curtains are drawn, people will begin to know, you're pretty much able to function in whatever assignment that He's given you. So I talk about overcoming a dry season. So those are the 3 books that I've written thus far.
Amazing. I love it. I love all 3 of them. Amazing. Thank you. Absolutely. Yes. So share with us, please share one of your biggest accomplishments up to this point. I definitely think that, the books, certainly the two books, or the one book that just recently released and then the other one, huge accomplishment and so needed based off of what you've shared. But please share, one of your biggest accomplishments up to this point.
I think there's, a lot of things that I'm proud of, but I think for me, the biggest accomplishment for me, to be honest, is to just be able to move in my purpose. Not a lot of people are moving in their purpose, and I find that moving in your purpose, like there's so much satisfaction with it. It's just different, because you're moving the way how God desires for you to move. You're pretty much moving when He says to move. But for me, my biggest accomplishment is really being able to move in my purpose and to be able to do the things or do the assignment that God has called me to be able to make an impact in the lives of others. Impact is so important, because one of the things I ask myself sometimes, I'm like, okay, if you die today or tomorrow, what would people say about you? What type of imprint did you leave on their lives? What did you do? And so for me, that is really my, biggest accomplishment, because I'm able to see when I wasn't moving with God, how my life was, you wasn't as happy, you didn't have the joy on the inside. There's just so many things. And for me, there's no comparison with it. And so for me personally, that is my biggest accomplishment, to be able to make it to move in purpose and to be able to make an impact, because that's what it's really all about, making an impact.
Absolutely, adding that value. And, when you are moving in your purpose, I feel like you just do things totally different from how, you probably did a long time ago. My goodness. Absolutely. So what would you say then has been a biggest challenge for you up to this point?
I would say sometimes the biggest challenge for me is, there are a lot of times you get downloads to create. And so, being able to know when to release what God is saying to you or what He's given to you, because, you have to be, there's a time that whatever He gives you has to be in an incubator. There's an opportunity that's been presented to me from the earlier part of the year. And, of course, with the coronavirus and everything else, I wasn't able to get started with it. But for me, I'm okay, because I realize with that particular opportunity, it needs to be incubated. So I'm able to really, nurture it, to really get a lot of the direction in which God wants it to be, because, at the end of the day, if God gives you an assignment, depending on what it is, especially if it's just to do an event, that's different. But when you're talking about ministry or things that impact ministry, there needs to be longevity. And there's nothing worse than you starting something and then you have to pretty much drop the vision that God gave to you. Now, I know there are times that some people, things may happen, and because, things happen, people have to drop it. That's different, versus you just, God gave you a vision, and then you just, just take off all the gates, and you didn't, because, to be honest, sometimes God gives you stuff, you get really excited, like, oh, my God, yes, God gave you it, and you're able to see how it will make a difference or make an impact. But then there are times that you have to settle your spirit down, so to speak, and actually just listen, hear what it is that God wants you to do, like to get the instructions and the directions to be able to move. So for me, sometimes the challenge is getting a lot of downloads and being able to know when to move. I remember last year, because, I've been doing the yearly events regularly, every year since I started. And I remember saying to God, I said, now, what do you want me to do for next year? I always ask what He wants me to do. And I didn't hear anything. And so as time went on, I said, God, you're not saying anything. I said, time is winding down, And I said, you're not saying anything. And people came to me, because sometimes this is something else you have to be careful of the expectation of other people. people know that I do yearly events. And so a lot of people were coming to me, and they were asking me, and I would always say to them, well, I have to wait to see what God is saying. So we have to be careful that you don't move with people's expectations of you. You don't allow it to cause you pressure, but instead you move according to how God says that he wants you to move. And I remember, since I didn't hear anything, I said, okay, God, well, I'm not hearing anything, so I'm just going to, see it as you don't want me to do anything. And I literally felt a sigh of relief, to be honest. I really did, and looking back at it now, I could tell that I really heard God, because I usually have my events between, like the end of part of April, maybe like the first week or so in May. And we had coronavirus. So I was able to save my money, too, because for me, the planner that I am, I'm someone who would have already paid on stuff. So because I listened to the voice of God, I didn't have to go through that. But there's still something that he gave me to do in any event, and he gave me to do it. And probably about a week and a half after I did, they started the lockdown. And so this is why you have to be mindful of hearing, his instructions. One of the ways how God deals with me, too, is that sometimes when he gives me things, there's an urgency. And the event that he gave me to do in the early part of the year, I really felt that urgency. Like he wouldn't let me rest with it. And so I was like, okay, I need to. So I literally planned it in about a month to get it done.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I would say the biggest challenge would really be, like I said, just knowing or ensuring that you are in the correct timing with the things or the assignment that God gave to you, because at the end of the day, he knows the people that are going to be impacted by that, or the people that need to be impacted by that.
Absolutely.
So that would be my challenge.
And so you just spoke on, you mentioned, of course, coronavirus and how we're very much, still in the midst of this pandemic. And, of course, we've all been impacted in some kind of way. And then, of course, you just mentioned that, how, you were given, something, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, just having to push our brakes on so many different things as far as events and all of that. Could you share just a little bit more on how, this crisis and Corona has impacted you in your ministry?
Well, to be honest, it hasn't. And I mean, of course, the face-to-face interaction, it has impacted that. But one of the things God has said to me about 2 years ago, he said to me, it's about quality and not quantity. So the minute he said that to me, my mindset shifted too, in that sometimes whenever I did things or did events, I would really prefer smaller groups, to be honest, and not so much the larger groups. Because sometimes there's a different level of intimacy that comes with the smaller groups. People are more, the women, they're more willing and open to share. They don't feel that, it's not like a spectator type environment. It's more so where persons are willing to participate in it. And so it hasn't affected me, affected the ministry too much. But of course, I still, basically call the ladies. I would check up on them. There, different little things that we would do. And so, that we're able to do more so virtually. But to say that it was a huge, big impact, no, it wasn't, because I would have already been doing smaller events or, pretty much even the one that I did last year. I did a women's retreat. And it was like a total of, I think it was like about 18 of us, including like me and my mom, but there were only really 15 women, so for me, I prefer more of the smaller groupings and settings, because to me, so much more is done. Like, to me, there's a lot more healing that takes place. It's just, so for me personally, I just prefer the smaller groupings. So I would honestly say that it didn't really cause too much of an impact for the ministry.
Absolutely. And so today I shared the empowerment quote, which was, "Stop chasing the money and start chasing the passion," by Tony Shea. Can you share what this quote means to you?
For me, I believe, passion is what births purpose. Passion also provides you with longevity, peace, and confidence. When you talk about passion, and of course it provides you with, it births purpose also. And so when you talk about chasing money, if money can have you, money can have you involved in so many different things to obtain money, but then of course there's no real level of satisfaction that's involved. Mm-hmm. I do believe that we are, called to enjoy whatever it is that we do. So I do believe that your passion, of course, can birth million or billion-dollar ideas, and I honestly believe that we should love what we do while earning money, depending on, mm-hmm. Whatever avenue or idea God gives you to pretty much earn money. So for me, that's what I got from, stop chasing the money and start chasing the passion. Because a lot of people are chasing money, but not the passion. The passion helps you enjoy what it is that you do, versus the money. Because, when we look around now, a lot of people who have money, they have money, but they're not happy. They're committing suicide. Like, it's just so many different things. So it shows that money alone itself, yes, money, but they say money answers all things. I get that, because money is definitely something that's needed. But I do believe that, there's a way you should be able to marry your passion with you making money. Not chasing it, but making it.
That's right. That's so true. And tell us more about, of course, in the bio I mentioned that your life's mantra is people make time for whatever is important to them. Tell us a little bit more about, this mantra.
So for me, that mantra is pretty much one that helps to eliminate excuses. If it's something that you're interested in, you would make the time for it. Prime example, so I've been busy for a while, pretty much creating and working on things. Now, I wanted to exercise, but that wasn't really, that wasn't a priority for me. So I wasn't doing as much exercising. So now it's switched where the exercise is a priority for me now, because it's something that I really want to do, and so I make the time for it. And so for me, that goes with anything. I know I use the example with exercising, but it pretty much goes with anything. If pursuing purpose is important to you, you would make the time for it. You would shut off what you need to shut off. You would cut off who you need to cut off. Whatever it is, you would make the time for it by any means necessary. It's almost like a relationship. You have a new relationship. And you know how it is now when you're dating and you like Google Gaga over these people. And
yes.
You find the time. Even if you're up all night and you're sleepy in the morning, you find the time. You know what I mean? And so for me, and that's why that's why I say people make time for whatever they're interested in. That's just what we do. People don't. Some persons may not necessarily like how it sounds, but it is what it is. If it's something that's very important to you, you would make the time for it by any means necessary. Because at some point, we've all done it. So for me, anything else is excuses, to a certain extent. So it helps, it pretty much helps to eliminate the excuses.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you, 150%. We definitely make time for the things that, we want to. So, and that's, like you said, across the board. I love how you use exercise, because I feel like I have, definitely made those excuses for not exercising. I definitely agree with that 100%. Yes, people make time for whatever is important to them, even your purpose. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I love being able to ask, each of my guests that come on to share with, the listeners, if they could give just one piece of advice on how they can empower their own growth and success journey, what would that be?
So there's several, but I mean, and of course, one of the first things I would say is you have to be prayerful about whatever direction that God wants to take you in. You know, I always tell people, like, he has the master blueprint, and so he is really the best person to ask for it. I believe that you have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in you, it's going to be hard for, you know, other people to believe in you. I would also say to the person, like, don't give up. You know, no matter how many doors are slammed in your face, you know, you may deal with even like spirits of sabotage. There's so many different things. You have to keep that strength more so. You have to pull that from deep down within. And I always tell people you have to remember your why. Like, why are you doing, you know, what it is that you wanna do. I would also tell people to, if you can or if you want to, like, seek out a mentor. You know, ask God to show you, you know, who could be a mentor to you or someone that you could be accountable to. You know, because this is important. I feel that, you know, the mentors are persons who, they're pretty much where they're at is pretty much where you're trying to go. You know, and who better than to help you? But of course, you know, you have to make sure you have the right mentor or the right midwife, so to speak, you know, for you. So that would be something that I would say. And of course, don't compare where you're at to where someone else is at. You know, I believe comparison is something that steals joy. And so I would say to them, just embrace that process to be able to move where it is that they have to go. Like, everyone's journey is different. You know, my journey, your journey is not the same. You know, even though once we are serving God, we will get to the same end result, but the journey is going to be different. So those would be, you know, some of the advice that I would give to those listening to say, you know, how they can empower their own growth and journey.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know, so you just shared, of course, you know, you have an upcoming book that's going to be launching. Could you share just a little bit more as far as what else you have coming up on the horizon?
Well, I have the Dream on the Rise book. One of the things I would say that I do now, I do have weekly periscopes on that platform, is where I have different guest speakers. They would come and they would share on different topics. Like, there are so many different topics that they would talk about. And of course, the person just kind of look out. I'm believing God he's saying to me that he wants to do another virtual event. So that's something that I would, you know, I'm seeking a bit more guidance.
Thank you for listening to the EmPower Hour with Jaresha, where Jaresha speaks with leaders, influencers, and motivators who share their journeys in personal and professional growth, empowerment tips, lessons learned, and keys of success that will empower you to be your best self.
And I truly hope that those that are listening, you know, have been taking notes, because it's been, you know, truly amazing. So how can anyone that's listening, how can they stay connected?
Great day on purpose.
So those that are listening, my Facebook and Instagram handle is Tavara Johnson. I have Twitter and Periscope, which is Johnson Tavara. And of course, persons can visit my website at www.tavarajohnson.com. They could also, so once you follow me on any of those platforms on my website, you're able to keep up with anything any upcoming events or whatever it is that I have going on. They'll definitely be able to keep up with that.
Absolutely. Again, thank you so much for, you know, taking the time to share your journey and certainly sharing your amazing ministry. It's been absolutely amazing. I thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was definitely a pleasure. I had fun. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You know, I truly feel that it's been another great and amazing show. So I thank you again for tuning in to today's show with my special guest, Dr. Tavara Johnson. Dr. Tavara Johnson shared her amazing story and journey to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success. If you are interested in being a guest on this show, starting your own show, or perhaps a podcast, email envisionedb at empoweronpurpose.com. Please tune in next week where you will hear an amazing story and journey from another leader, motivator, and influencer. EB Radio is the station that brings you music and talk radio that will encourage, motivate, and empower you for growth and success 24/7. EB Radio is your station for empowerment.
Thank you for listening to the EmPower Hour with Jaresha, where Jaresha speaks with leaders, influencers, and motivators who share their journeys in personal and professional growth, empowerment tips, lessons learned, and keys of success that will empower you to be your best self. Follow Jaresha on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jaresha Moore, and visit empoweronpurpose.com. And remember to be intentional and be empowered, and have a great day on purpose.